you lovely people at home, thank you for watching and listening in. This week, I'm talking with Chris. So, Chris, tell us a little bit. We can obviously redo this bit if we need to, but tell us a little bit about like so how would I describe you?
Okay. Well, firstly, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about doing this for a long time, so it's nice to finally sit down and get together and chew the fat. How would you describe me? I guess for me, I am someone that has always been involved with sport, had a love for fitness, and I guess made a career out of coaching. So for me, I'm very passionate about the process of coaching, whether that be in a team sport environment, which is probably where I'm most comfortable, as we can see with the rugby pitch in the background, and then also that group exercise setting, and then also in a one-to-one PT setting. But yes, I am someone that is very passionate about the art of coaching. I love fitness. I love taking part in fitness myself. I use it as a vehicle to keep my mind sharp and sharpen the tools. It helps me be a better person day to day. And then also, I guess I'm someone that wants to pursue it as a long-term career.
Fitness in general?
Yeah.
Anything around fitness?
Well, I think so I'm 34 now, and I've spent the first 14 years of my career being a coach. So I've worked in professional sports, I've worked in talent development, and then in the last 5 years I've worked in the fitness side of the industry and applied my coaching and also, I guess, coach education into fitness. I think fitness forms a large part of who I am. It forges my identity, I guess. So I would find it hard to not have sport and fitness and coaching in my life. But I'm at a stage now where I'm curious to see where else I can explore fitness as a career, whether that be in the gym, whether that be out on the grass still, or can I have an impact on the industry in other areas of the field? Like, for example, we see now like Hyrox or Athex or big events, large events, bringing the fitness community together. Could I be a part of that? I'm always curious about gym design, and we see like wearable tech and equipment. People are pushing those boundaries, so it'd be cool to maybe see, is there opportunity there to be involved? But yeah, that's probably...
Yeah, so let's just strip it back then to so your original thing, which is great for my listeners as well as well. Ideally, the idea I was pitching to my listeners, which is that I wanted to show them a different pathway of why fitness is such a part of our lives. And it's not just like a chore, or a hobby. It's you build your day around, in a jokey way, you kind of build your day around where are we going to, what time are we training today, and then what are we doing? A bit so and then obviously to add a career into that, I know as well from doing this and from doing other things, it makes it quite an emotional roller coaster.
Big time.
Because your favourite hobby, your passion, your main bloodstream, your main drive is then fused with your career.
And sometimes the two can get merged, I think. But I go back to what I said, fitness for me forms a large part of my identity. So
it's a non-negotiable.
For me, fitness and exercise is it's a non-negotiable, and much like coaching is also then forms that part of my identity. If we think about fitness in isolation as that one main component, fitness, as I say, it keeps me sane, it keeps me sharp. If I have a bit of a rubbish day, can we swear? If we have a bit of a crappy day, or a shitty day, for me, the best thing I can do is go and exercise. Now, there'll be times when I think, this is the last thing I want to do. I want to go home. I want to go maybe sit and binge eat or watch some crap telly, maybe have a beer. But I know the best thing for me is to go and exercise. And that might be just 20 minutes, half an hour on my bike, because I love cycling. That might be, phoning you up or whoever and be like, mate, let's go bin ourselves for the team. Or it might be just going bidding myself on my own. But for me, exercise forms a large part of who I am. And it then forms habits as well. So, much like, you've worked with a number of clients, and you'll know yourself that half the challenge with having success with clients or with athletes is ingraining positive behaviours. And if you can use fitness as the vehicle to help ingrain positive behaviour, the net gain and the return on the investment is so big and so positive for these people. So yeah, I think for me, fitness will always be a part of my life, and it will always form a big part of my identity that allows me then to create positive behaviours and be a better person, whether that's professionally or socially or in relationships. Fitness is always going to be a key part of that.
Yeah, and then when we're talking about habits then, because you brought up habits and like creating habits, and obviously we are both personal trainers. It's like sometimes when it becomes a bit overwhelming, everything you've got going on in your life, you sort of start with the smallest bit first. So just 100%. I often say to my clients, like, just pack your gym bag. Yeah. Pack your gym bag the night before. Yeah. Make the big commitment that you're going to at least attempt to go do something.
Because you're setting your intention.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, tell me about that.
So by putting your gym clothes out, or by having that bag packed, you set an intention that you're going to go and do something. Now, by having it there ready to go, it's in your eye line, it's part of your plan for the next day. So you've made a conscious choice to go, that's part of my plan for tomorrow. That I'm setting my intention now that tomorrow I will go and exercise. Now, where we perhaps see a challenge, and that's probably part of our job, is to help people navigate that challenge, is sometimes something crops up the next day that you can't foresee. And it's then how do you deal with that? And sometimes that can be an emotional challenge, sometimes that can be a physical challenge. But by at least having that intention set, you've now just got to go and execute off the back of it.
Certainly. And I mean, like the other day I had a client, you know, I could tell from the text message, I was like, this feels like it's going to be a cancellation. Yeah. So I made it just super easy. I was like, look, whenever you get here, however you're feeling, just come. And then we did the session, and then she said to me, she was like, you didn't actually think I was going to turn up. I was like, no, I didn't think you were going to turn up. And she's like, but you did it in such a nice way that by making me turn up, I now feel like it's totally possible to come again.
100%. And you've planted that seed, and you've painted that picture of this is achievable. Yeah. No matter what, however I've been challenged before, I can still make it a priority. I can still get over that barrier to be there. And I think, like, the point you make there is you've understood your role within that situation. So I think as personal trainers, and you know, it's much like coaches when we coach rugby as well, it's understanding, particularly so here at Harpen, and we're a community rugby club, we play a good level of amateur rugby, but these guys have jobs. You know, we train Tuesday, Thursday, and we play Saturday, but around that they run businesses, they work in the city, they are dads, they are family guys, and they are partners and husbands. So they have stresses outside of rugby, they have stresses outside of the session you've booked in with us. So we need to understand that, even in your case, before they've got to that session, what's my role? Right. And so understanding that as a coach, my role is to meet, okay, today you are here. So my role is to come and meet you there and then get the best out of that session that you've got. Some days you might be here, and that's great. We can meet you here and we might be able to push you. But on that day, you understood your client was here. And so your job is maybe not to push them to a PB or to failure or to whatever you want to call it. Your job is just to get them to the gym and say, great job, well done, you've shown up, and we've done something. Something is better than nothing. Yeah. And I think that's really important, particularly as coaches. We understand what's our role within our client or within our athlete's journey, and how do we get the best out of them for that particular moment in time. And so then briefly, without a massive chunk of it, where do you see like personal training and coaching then in a sense that, like, so a lot of people might be perhaps looking online thinking that there's just loads of PTs, but then again, they might not, because you might also have loads of cat memes in your feed, right? So equally though, like, a lot of people think, again, with a personal trainer, that as soon as they've committed to speaking to one or having a conversation, that they've got to buy something. And then they're afraid that, what if they don't like the person? What if they don't do it? And again, with gyms, like, and I was teaching a class this morning at 6 a.m. and I said to them, I was like, okay, I'm slightly making up stats, but I was like, you know, you're in like probably the top 20% of the UK. Literally, it looks like there's gyms on every corner. There are, but that's less than what? How many percent of people actually train in the UK? Yeah, well, isn't it like if you can run 5K and have less than 30 or 25 minutes, you're in the top 10% of the world or something. Like, just people need to understand that movement is great. Right. And some movement is better than nothing. I think going back to your point around, like, if I'm looking for a personal trainer, I'm looking for a coach, I'm looking for a rugby club to join, for me, coaching is relationships. You know, I put a post up on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and for me, I've done coaching now for this is my 13th, 14th year.
Nice.
And whenever I come back to it, whenever I sit and reflect and go, what is coaching? You know, it's not program design, it's not drills, it's not, that's all great. But coaching is about relationships. And if you can, you know, if I'm the consumer or the client, I need to understand what that relationship is going to look like before I go and commit to that trainer. And it's okay for you to say no, because if that trainer can't give you, can't meet you where you're at, and you can't see the journey you want to go on with that coach, then maybe that's not the right coach for you. If you're a coach looking to sign someone up and build your business, it's relationships first. You've got to drive that relationship. You've got to be able to understand how to build a relationship, so engage the client and the athlete first. You've got to be able to understand, okay, how am I going to build that and foster that over time? And then ultimately, how are you going to retain them? Because, you know, that relationship, it will ebb and flow, and it will evolve over time. And the needs and the wants of the athlete and the client that you get at the start of the journey will be different after 6 months. If you're lucky enough to still have them after a year, beyond that, it's going to be different again. So it's, you know, for me, it all boils down to, can you build a relationship, and then can you sustain the relationship over a long time? And if you're a client looking for a trainer, and there's a lot of noise out there on social media, don't be afraid to ask, okay, what does that look like? What does that journey look like? How are you going to build and foster that relationship? How are you going to meet my needs and wants by working with me?
So obviously this is a podcast for like the general Gen Pop, but we do both work as fitness professionals, and we work in the fitness industry. Just briefly on what we were just talking about though, is a lot of people still, and I thought I did this 8 years ago. So, okay, I was a chef, I had an injury, and I got a physio, and then my physio recommended me to a personal trainer.
I didn't know you were a chef, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. And I hurt my back, had quite a bad disc bulge injury from standing too much on one side of my body during chef work. Yeah. Anyway, it's totally shut down, ended up with a PT. I'm standing there, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, Ray, what's your life about? How does this work? This seems a lot better. For me, though, coming from a kitchen, which is hot, sweaty, 16-hour days.
One hell of a change, one hell of a career change.
Yeah, it was. But with that same mentality and that same essence, I managed to hit the gym floor and absolutely smash it, right? But still, 8 years later now, I'm being a PT manager, speaking to some fresh green, we call them green PTs on the floor. Yeah. Still a lot of people... and I'm not saying this is negative by any means, still a lot of people fall in love with fitness and then think, I'm going to become a coach, I'm going to become a PT. And the course is even cheaper now, and it's even faster.
So the access and the entry point to a career in personal training has become so easy. Like you said, it's available online, you can study fully remote online. And the entry point to that career change and to being that level 3 PT is a lot easier and a lot more accessible than, and I think COVID has played a role in that, you know, much like any kind of learning. Now there's I mean, it was about certainly before that, but I think COVID has played a large role in accelerating just how much online learning does happen. I'm doing a project management course right now. It's all online.
But then equally, to combat that sort of question though, is that still you have lots of people becoming PTs. There's a lot of, also the clients, the people, the Gen Pop, dads, busy dads, lads. There's so much information out there, and still the same questions are there. Should I take creatine? Doesn't creatine make my hair fall out? You know, should I eat carbs before my workout? Why am I feeling a bit dizzy after I've done a 45-minute class? Well, I say to people like, well, first off, like really simple, what's in your water? You know, there's nothing in your water, it's just water. You know, like how come these still, even though the market feels like it's flooded with people, there's still, almost what I'm saying is there's almost like still nobody can make a decision.
I mean, look, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of contradicting information out there, and I guess how people then consume that information is also vast. Like you got the whole generation now, we're guilty of it, we'll sit and scroll. Most people will sit and scroll, and so it's easy for content to get out there and people to access that content, and then like you said, the messaging can be very conflicting. I think, like, if I was to advise someone, where I would say, you know, let the information that you're reading, is it evidence-based? Is there some kind of evidence to support that? And I think, yeah, like, there's a lot of myths out there.
They just want to, sometimes though, after all that information is flooded on the market, what makes you an excellent coach, and why I like learning from you and why we became friends, is because sometimes you need someone to just digest all that information and say, this is your cats from your dogs, you know? Don't worry about buying a £12,000 bike.
Correct.
If you're only going to go out 45 minutes a week. You know, get a decent bike, get some decent shoes, but you don't need to buy, I'm not going to knock on cycling. No. You don't need to buy the Rafa jacket.
I was going to say, if you knock on cycling, mate, we'll have some trouble. No, I think, like...
But do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know, you get people saying, well, should I eat carbs in the morning? Should I carb cycle? Am I doing fasting?
Mate, intermittent fasting, right? Like, that's a keto diet. Same thing. Like, there's so many different... But ultimately...
Are you dieting?
And so for me, like, I come back to, okay, well, what is the needs and wants of that person? If I'm going to be a really great coach, I can question and I can gather and I can find the information out as to exactly what that client wants and needs. And then I'm in a position, because I'm curious about learning, and any good trainer, in my opinion, is always trying to learn, trying to get better. And, you know, even if you don't agree with the evidence or agree with that particular theory or that particular concept, just learn about it.
Yeah.
Have an awareness, say, cool, it doesn't fit my bias, or not my biases, it doesn't fit my approach, but I'm aware of it and I know the research on it, because then you're informed enough to offer a fair opinion. Yeah. And then you can use that information, use that evidence, and use that knowledge to go, this is right for you, this is not right for you, and you understand exactly what the needs and wants of your clients are. And I think, unfortunately, the fitness industry has got to a point where headline grabbing stuff is what
I mean, we can do it now. We can be like, look, I can get you to lose 5 kilos in 3 weeks.
And people, unfortunately, will go for that quick fix. But actually, that's not always the best approach. And it's the best coaches understand the needs and the wants of what their client, what the needs and wants of the client is at that point in time.
Sure.
And then use the information and the tools they've got available to them to guide them down the right path.
Perfect. Well, yeah, good we covered that bit off. But so tell me, come on then. You said, have I got any pre-designed questions? I mean, obviously I'm quite good at it, but you must have had a few things you wanted to cover off today, or you?
Well, no, I think like, obviously we met when we worked together at a large gym, and we met on some training. But I remember when I met you, I was like, this guy's got some experiences already. And so we obviously met through a tribe. I was taking that course, but I identified you as someone that was already pretty experienced and had some skin in the game. So I guess I'd be curious to know, like, you asked me what I think makes a great coach. What do you think makes a great coach?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. I like that. I mean, for me, it's very much, all the trainers I've spoken to in the role I was doing, helping them build careers, is that it has to be personal trainer. Yeah. You can know all the knowledge, you can have running drills, you can have all that stuff, and it is great to have them in your back pocket. But when you're, 6 a.m. in a fresh room full of people you've never met before, what's going to make you shine as a good coach is to be able to quickly assess, read the people's emotions, figure out who's uncomfortable, figure out who's comfortable, deliver some really good pointers. Make sure, I've even been going through some training recently, learning from some other CrossFit coaches, making sure I absolutely nail things in my demo and in my production of a class. So I would say technical ability massive, but you really have to be able to relate to people. If you're gonna especially spend some money or even time, because it's not even always about the money at the moment. People aren't afraid to necessarily spend money on getting fit or losing 5 kilos or shredding down for the summer. It's one, they don't necessarily believe it's going to happen, but two, they don't know if they actually want to spend that time with you. And so I'd say definitely the personal side of it. But then really, one of the other things that drives me, is that you've got to be enthusiastic.
Yeah. And as you did that course with me, as I say, and one of the things I always stress when I do these courses is that if you are coaching in a group setting, and do you know what, this applies to individual setting as well, like, you've got to make it the best 45 minutes, hour of their day. Like you said, we're dealing with busy people with busy lives and lots of stresses outside of those gyms when they come to us. So, you know, we want to make that hour, that 45 minutes, the best part of their day, and the bit they leave going, fucking hell, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was great. Can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
And I use the phrase myself, like, if you're particularly in a group setting, so a CrossFit setting, or, you know, like a boutique class, you want to make them feel like a rock star and make them feel like the only person in that room.
And that's tough to teach, because that's not taught in the academies. That's not taught in the PT level 3. And I think that it's almost a bit of a shame that, like, some people do the course and then they might crash out thinking PT's not for them. But look, at least they have the knowledge and how to move and how to lift weights. And then really it just gets a bit to the point where you just hope that, my thing is that I just hope whoever's turned up to a class doesn't let either a bad trainer or a bad day tarnish their whole weekend for training. You know? Because there is that pinnacle bell curve where somebody's faced into the fact that they're like overweight, or they're in a not great way, they haven't trained for a while, they run for a bus, it sucked, they thought they were going to throw up, or their kids are getting, or you know, or they've gone through whatever, breakup, something, and they've looked in the mirror and gone, right, I need to sort my shit out, right? I need to maybe get a new job or whatever I've got to do, but equally, I don't feel comfortable in my skin. To take that step is huge. To take that step to say, I don't feel comfortable in my skin, and I'm willing to share that with someone. But then for them to go to a Globo gym, go to any gym, maybe even CrossFit, because let's face it, CrossFit's scary.
Do you do CrossFit?
Yeah. But like, you know, to go to a Globo gym, have a shit interaction with a membership team. And we've seen all of this, because we've 100%. Worked in all of, you know, go to a CrossFit gym, seen people snatching 100 kilos and then just walk the hell out straight away.
Like, no, not
gone to a boot camp in a park, got muddy and cold and caught
not for me.
Not for me. Gone cycling, seen the price of bikes.
Not for me.
Yeah, not for me. And then they've gone back to the sofa and gone, click. So much easier to watch the new 12-part episode on Netflix because it's fed to me. So much. Now I'm going to say some stuff I don't normally say. And then it's so much easier to go for the high palm oil processed foods because they taste good. They give you a dopamine rush. They boost you, you know, they give you that fix. Scroll away, get more dopamine there. But why on earth would I want to go pick up a dumbbell in a freezing cold shed in the middle of frickin' somewhere with a bunch of people I don't really know or like? No,
and that's you're dead right.
How do we compete against that? We make podcasts in rugby clubs.
That's how. Because then they can watch this on YouTube from their sofa with their palm oil food. No, I think it comes back to understanding it's understanding what that person and that member potentially needs. So you're dead right. And I would say that perhaps the CrossFit community is very good at that, right? People, CrossFit actually, I don't want to offend any CrossFit fans or anything, but CrossFit is quite a complex sport. If you actually break it down, you've got so many different components that make up CrossFit. And CrossFit is, at the top end, it's the sport of fitness, right?
Ooh.
Fair?
He's going in for it now, and
no.
He doesn't do CrossFit.
I dabble in CrossFit. I enjoy it, but I've never competed in CrossFit because I've never.
Not even a little local throwdown.
No.
Oh well, we're doing that.
Yeah. So I've never done it. I appreciate it. I admire it, and I think as I say, the skills that go into becoming a really strong CrossFit athlete, amateur and professional. There's a lot of components to make that up. But what I would say CrossFit across the globe does unbelievably well is it creates a community that people want to come back to every time. And I think the best, so I've been to a CrossFit box down in St Albans.
Nice.
Shout out CrossFit Verulam. And
the one in the greenhouses.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. We should have gone there.
Yeah, well, we can go there. So, and my coach Harry, shout out Harry. He did rugby, he was a rugby player here, but now he's primarily CrossFit. What I would say that they do unbelievably well, having seen it firsthand, is they create this community that just people want to come back to. And it doesn't matter what your ability, they'll find something that you can do. They'll scale the workout to make it enjoyable. So you know that, do you know what, I can go back there because it's a safe space. It doesn't matter what my current ability is. Someone might be doing that unbroken ring muscle ups next to me, but that doesn't matter because the coaches have made me feel welcome enough that they'll scale that movement back to get me hooked.
I love it. There's touch sevens going around now in London.
Yeah,
trying to take a bit of a rise. I know one of my clients is doing that.
Yeah.
And he's still loving doing the S&C programming that you wrote and helped make for this big gym that we work for, which takes from parts of CrossFit.
Yeah.
But without geeking out too much, but we'll have a little 5-minute geek out, right? Tell me a little bit about because I don't know this for sure, but I know it's something I say in my S&C classes, right? Why does training S&C and CrossFit style workouts, the hit to bartery mix of like anaerobic and aerobic dynamics, help suddenly your whole ecosystem of fitness? Like how by doing one S&C class or 2 S&C classes for 6 to 8 weeks for any sportsman or a busy dad or a lad, how does that change that bell curve like that?
Yeah, well, I think so again, if we think about general populations, they might have a sport that they love to do, rugby as the vehicle, right? So they're doing that because they just enjoy it. They're not professional athletes. So what we've got to do is, whilst we want to make them better rugby players, better football players, cricketers, tennis players, golfers, we've ultimately got them get them better in life. So we need to educate that by coming to a strength and conditioning class or a CrossFit class or your build, sweat, whatever your gym calls it, by coming to those classes and improving your aerobic system or your anaerobic system in some cases, that's going to prepare you and make you better and more robust for real life. So if you're a dad that just wants to be better and more active and be able to play football with your kids in the garden, by doing those 2 or 3 classes a week, I guarantee over time, the wear and tear will reduce and you'll feel you'll have a better relationship with your kids because you can give more energy and you can be more present and more active and involved with those kickabouts.
Right.
And that's where I think, and then as a result, going back to your original question about the sevens, look, those 2 or 3 classes a week, improving your aerobic system will allow you to be fitter and will perform better at that touch rugby tournament, because you're just pushing the needle every week. And doesn't have to be like you don't have to bin yourself every session to see progress. Right. It's just understanding that just pushing that needle every week on that essence, on that aerobic capacity. So, that sort of low intensity, steady state work, just to improve your capacity for work and your VO2 max and improve your heart rate and all that. That's why it's beneficial, because then.
But your VO2 max or whatever in your heart rate, you could theoretically just say that's 40 minutes on a watt bike.
You could, but if that's boring to you, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is understanding that. Again, and this is probably a big part of my philosophy, is that training's got to be enjoyable. When we're dealing with Gen Pop clients, amateur athletes, training's got to be enjoyable, because if it's not enjoyable, you're not going to come back and you're not going to find a reason to do it.
Yeah. So then actually sometimes when you do some of these workouts and stuff, you need to tone it down a little bit. So don't go for the big dumbbell, go for a medium weight dumbbell, but just move.
Yeah.
So get the joint moving, get the muscle moving.
Correct.
It's more a 5 out of 10 than it is an 8 out of 10.
And hopefully the coach at the start of the session will give you that stimulus and explain why we're doing the stimulus. So, if the aim of if you're in if the block is periodized well, and that this week it is about just getting perhaps a bit more volume in there. So therefore we're going to go slightly lighter weight and focus on accumulating lots of rounds and lots of reps. Then the following week we might go, well, the intensity is going to go up, so the volume's going to come down. And that's when a good coach goes, this week, remember last week, we were lots of reps, lots of volume. This week, do you know what? I want to see you go for that heavier weight. Pick that heavier weight, because we're going to go for lower reps, or we want more intensity out the session.
Right.
And that's where a good periodized program can be so important. And
then beneficial. On that, then if we were to give some people some 5-minute tidbits on how to build a program, would we say that in the normal gym for a lad or a lady, that the classic thing that people still doing, again, even though there's tons of information online, is they do 15 minutes on the cardio machine to warm up. Yeah. I don't know how on earth that's got so embedded into everyone's mind.
Literally 15 minutes on a cross trainer.
Yeah, 15 minutes on a cross trainer, and then I'm going to do some dumbbells. Yeah. And then it's going to be either sets of 3 to 10. Yeah. 3 to 10 set. 3 to 10.
3 sets, 10 reps.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And then that's it. No progressive overloading. Not really understanding what an overload is. Still, it's just not out there.
No.
So let's say, for example, we can only go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Would we be too cliche in saying that. Well, what would be a perfect like workout for that?
So I think if you're a bit, say, busy lad, busy dad, busy mum. Yeah. I think and you've only got 2 or 3 windows of time to go and train, I think you need to first of all incorporate like a full body approach. So what we want to do, and again, this is another common thing you'll see as well as that 15 minutes on the cross trainer. They'll what you call like a bro split, right? So your classic chest and buys, back and all this, and it's like leg day. But actually, if you've only got 2 or 3 windows of time in the week to train and you're only hitting each muscle group once, that progression is going to take much longer than if you went for a full body approach across 2 or 3 times a week. So for me, and I also then focus on, rather than muscle groups, focus on movement patterns. So for example, when I program, I'm looking at hinge, so knee dominant.
Deadlift.
Yeah, deadlift.
Thank you.
Knee dominant, which would be like a squat.
Okay.
And then you probably want to get a bilateral and a unilateral, so that's the squat, and then maybe a lunge. Mm-hmm. And then you want to look at horizontal pull, horizontal push, vertical pull, vertical push. And then you've got core in there as well. And that's another thing, right? We see a lot of clients go, I want core sessions. Well, again, if you've only got 2 or 3 windows of time, your core's got to be integrated into those two. Like, you can't have a separate session for it. And for me, like, the way I would then program using that full body approach is that I would just use supersets and triceps. Because for me, like, again, I don't know how long you've got. Let's say you've got an hour.
Yeah.
If you're banging out 15 minutes on a cross trainer, which I hope you're not, by the way, that leaves you 45 minutes of time. Therefore, I've got to maximise that 45 minutes by using trisets and supersets.
Yeah.
Because
they are triple sets, doubles.
Yeah, sorry.
2 exercises together, 3 exercises together. I did a little video with Roland. We did a quick workout with him, and I showed those in there, but also Jason, my lovely editor, will drop them in as well.
There you go.
Give you an idea of what that is, but also the link will be some workout. Well, frick it, we'll chuck some workouts in the bottom of this podcast if you're interested.
There you go.
Yeah. So triple sets, supersets.
Yeah, so 2 exercises back to back or 3 exercises back to back, because what that does, it's more efficient with your time, but it then allows you to get more volume in the session. Now, if you're doing that 2 or 3 times a week with then some conditioning at the end, just 10, 15 minutes of what we call energy system development. So your cardio, traditional cardio, that's a nice well-rounded week of training. And
if I was going to pick 2 exercises, should I pick the same muscle groups or opposing muscle groups? Or different parts of the body?
So I would probably, you can look at that 2 ways. So you could do like 2 upper body exercises back to back.
Okay.
So maybe you might do like a push and a pull.
Yep, so a chest press,
and a bent over row. If you want to use cables, you can use cable machines.
Yep.
Or you could do like a upper body, lower body. Okay. And maybe so for example, I might do a split squat, so just a goblet split squat, into then a half kneeling overhead dumbbell press.
Half kneeling overhead dumbbell press.
Or a seated dumbbell press.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Nice and simple.
Because that's working your core.
Yeah. So any compound movements you do, do you want to explain what compounds are? You got this one?
No,
Here we go.
got that one.
I've got that one.
Compounds is good. Big movements.
So any compound movement you do, which is multi-muscle group, multi-joint, you're going to get your core involved. We can then add in things like weighted carries, like farmer's carries and suitcase carries, to then add your core specific work in there. And I love a loaded carry simply because, again, if you think about how many scenarios that applies to in real life, and I'll use this in my coaching cues, when you're doing like a suitcase carry, so 1 kettlebell in the arm on the side, it's like carrying your suitcase through Heathrow Airport.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people want to go on holiday and they're like, oh, I get that. I can see that. Similarly, you might have 2, so you might be like, okay, you're carrying your shopping bag from the car to the house. Again, I get it. So lots of those sorts of exercises, like weighted carries, whilst they're probably not glamorous and they're not very exciting to see on Instagram, they're very relatable and applicable to real life.
But then also, they're in one of your favourite things that we're talking about at the moment, they're in the Hyrox. So the Hyrox has got a lot of those movements.
Yeah,
so
I do dabble in Hyrox. I do. Are you dabbling in Hyrox?
I've got one in 2 weeks.
Go.
I got a ticket last minute.
It's what, London?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got a dart pair. I'm going with the same mixed male-female pair that we did before. We're just gonna. We can talk about that on our track running afterwards. The sun is coming out. But Yeah, I mean, look, there's something, for example, something like Hyrox is fantastic because obviously we've got the London Marathon coming up. This won't be edited in time for that. But every year, everybody just says that they wake up one day and when they've looked in the mirror and they said they need to change something, for some reason they just go, I'm going to do a marathon.
Yeah, straight in, full send.
Right, full send marathon. I'm going to train for it. There's loads of apps. They're free. Running's free. I don't need to join a gym. I don't need to get a coach. I'm going to run a marathon. And I don't knock them. That's great.
Yeah. Like if they can stick at it and execute that and get it done, like hats off to you. That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, but what normally happens is somebody will run a marathon maybe, and then they'll never run again.
Never.
Or ever, because the damage and the pain of it. But then also something then comes along like Hyrox, which is I think is great.
Yeah.
Because Hyrox at least is like taking away from the fear of CrossFit, taking away from a bit of fear of maybe going and doing rugby or other sports like that. And it's making it a simple race where you can train for it, you can follow some programming, and it's a bit more interesting for some people than a marathon.
Yeah, I think Hyrox, I think there's so much good about Hyrox, so many positives about Hyrox, and we can really unpack this if you want to unpack
Plus
this.
The vibe is just awesome.
Yeah, like again, I talked about CrossFit being an amazing community. Hyrox are coming in hard on that space. Like they're really, the amount of people that are proud to do a Hyrox say they like Hyrox, and I think that's all come about because Hyrox have built a really cool brand. They've built a product which is like so addictive, and then through the affiliate program, they're now creating these communities that are global. And this is probably one of the really cool things about Hyrox is you can go and do it anywhere in the world. Like I spoke to people, they're going to Paris. They're going to Dubai. Like, I'm going to Dubai next year. My goal is to do, I'm not going to say the time because then I'm sat in the public, but I've got a really punchy time in mind.
49 minutes.
Yeah, 40, let's go 49 minutes.
No, that's like the world record.
That's quicker than Hunter. No chance.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to go and do it in Dubai. So
nice.
They've made it, one, really accessible for both the skill levels, but also like, you can do it anywhere in the world, and you can make it into a holiday. And people are going to Madrid, Valencia, and it's amazing. And I think Hyrox have they've cornered it, they've nailed it, I guess, in my opinion. And they're looking to expand that. We're now with like coaching qualification. You become a Hyrox coach. Yeah. So it's becoming addictive.
Yeah,
and in
a good way.
In a good way, correct. Like, so you're right in terms of like people. You've got a lot of people now coming into Hyrox that perhaps didn't think they could do running events. Like you said, like you don't want to do a marathon. I'm that guy. Like I'm never going to do a marathon. I'm just not. But one of my best friends, like he isn't. Like he runs ultras. He does London Marathon last year. He's done all sorts. That's his thing. But we've both found a way into Hyrox that allows us to meet in the middle.
Are you doing it together?
Yeah, we've done it already. No, we did pairs. So we did pairs in Birmingham last year.
Oh, wicked. What time did you get then?
We did 109 then for my very first hit out. The goal is 105 in Birmingham this time. So as you can imagine, Dubai, the aim is to be a little bit quicker. I'll just say a little bit quicker.
Is 4 minutes tough to shave 4 minutes off it?
Yeah, so when you say it like that, when you go, can you shave 4 minutes? It sounds like a lot of time, right? But
no, it doesn't to me.
Well,
sounds like you're not trying hard.
Thanks, mate.
How hard did you send it on the first? Because it's your first race. You know how hard to send it. I would say you're holding back still 10% because you don't want to bonk out or whatever the cyclists call it, where you just flop.
I think some people will go full send on the first station, and like they get to the burpees and they're done.
Yeah.
And like people try and win the race in the first 4 stations, and actually, like I think. How did I feel? I mean,
I felt fine. I just thought the 5th and the 6th run sucked.
Yeah, same.
And then I was fine with the activities, but I think there was a lot of pressure to like not go too quickly at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I found it more just hard, like at points. Not hard, I know that sounds like an obvious word to use, but I meant like, I was more just like slowing down because
you're thinking I've got to have enough in the tank to get to the end.
It is a long time to perform for.
Yeah, to sustain it, like you're gonna hit a wall. Yeah, if you don't feel right, particularly if you get your nutrition wrong, you can hit a wall and bomb out. And I think that is easy to have in the back of your mind about I've got to have enough in the tank to get there. I agree. Like the 5th and the 6th run, you're like, this hurts. But I think once you get through those, you sort of start to see you run the home straight, like you get that second wind, right? And all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can do this. I think going back to your question, like, how do you shave 4 minutes off? Well, if you think about Hyrox, it's 17, 8, I don't know how many stations, but you've got your running, so your 1K intervals, and then each station. Yeah. And if you then look at your race afterwards, it will give you the breakdowns of those times.
Right.
So it's easy, I guess. Once you have that information, that's when you can start to analyse, and you can self-reflect on, well, okay, look, I can see my splits in the running were either not great, or I perhaps went out too hard or too slow and I need to adjust. You can look at, well, I can see here I was really strong on the sleds, but perhaps I'm a little bit slower on burpees because I'm a bit too heavy. So actually you can see, okay, well, if I shave 10 seconds here, 15 seconds here, if I can bring my running time down X amount of seconds over 8 kilometers, 9 kilometers, whatever it is, 8K plus your rock zones, all of a sudden, the old phrase, 1%ers, marginal gains. Right. So you add all those bits up, you might be surprised how much you can shave off. And that's going to be our approach coming into Birmingham again, is that we're going to look at that and go, well, 4 minutes. How do we shave 4 minutes? Well, I know Jason is an unbelievably good runner. I've got to get better. That's where perhaps I can be better, is that, so if I look at, I think our splits for running were around about 5 minutes. I think just over for the slow ones, but the quick ones we were in 4:40s. So if I can bring that gap, across those 8 sets closer, that's going some way to at least.
And then, what about the row though? Is there tactics? Obviously, we could spend hours talking about this. We might have to do a whole separate.
Probably, I was going to say.
Would you say the classic old school tactics of if you're crap at one thing, then send it on another thing? But surely that doesn't work for your body's aerobic system. If you go too fast on the rower because you're an Olympic rower, and then you've got nothing for the sled, your legs, all the glycogen's gone, it's not going to be a great idea.
I mean, you're fortunate the sled's before the row.
Yeah, true. But how do you maintain this? Is it better to, so what I'm saying is it better to maintain steady state but make those marginal gains, or try and get an actual gain in a Matt Fraser? Do you ever hear about the whole thing about Matt Fraser used to get to a corner of a race and he would go round the corner and he would just sprint as fast as he could
to try,
because then the next person would come around the corner and suddenly think that he was amazing, even though he'd actually just sent it. It was all psychological.
Well, that sounds more like like you said, psychological. I think based on my character and who I am, I would probably rather plan and have a plan for each stage, and I would rather have enough in the tank that if I know I needed to kick, right, I would be able to kick. I think I couldn't think of anything worse than going out full send, bombing it, and just being I've just got to hold on.
Oh no, we're not going to do that. But how much are you going to kick it on the wall balls? Because that's the thing.
Well, so wall balls, you're last station. Let's fucking go.
So you could run before that. Yeah. But if you were to sprint the last 1K, you then hit
Am I solo or pairs?
You're still paired.
Yeah, so I think
one of you's got to pick that wall ball up first.
This is the thing, right? So if you're a good pair, and this is probably why I love the dynamic of pairs or team sport so much, is because ultimately you're in this together. You're in the trenches together. You're binning yourself together. And for me, there's no better feeling than just looking across to the guy next to you or person next to you, going, "We're in the fight here." And I know you're doing it for me and I'm doing it for you. And so part of that dynamic and that relationship is being able to communicate throughout the race. Right. And if you get to that last K and you're feeling good? Yeah, I'm feeling good. All right, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And then you have a tactic, and you might get 500 meters round and you might be like, "Rupert, I'm hanging here, mate." Or can you take the wall balls? You might have had that plan where you said, "You know what, the stronger runner, you're coming into that station first." Or you're going to finish that station because you're the stronger runner. But actually, we might get halfway round and it might be "Mate, I need you to start these wall balls for me. Just give me that."
Nice.
So I think.
And what about Red Bull and the water? No, stay off it.
Yeah, I made a conscious decision to stay off the Red Bull. For me, it was just strictly water. Yeah. I took an isotonic gel with me, and I had just had that. So after station 4, bang the gel.
Nice.
and away I went. But this is the thing. I think the caveat to that is, I've had experience of using that before. So I've done London to Paris. I've done a lot of long cycles, 100-mile cycles.
Yeah.
So I know.
Is that on a skinny little push bike? Yeah.
Yeah, on a Brompton. On a Brompton.
Were you wearing lots of lycra?
Yeah, loads of lycra, full kit.
Yeah.
But I think I had that experience. I banked that time in the saddle, and I tried these different strategies.
Yeah, obviously it's like, don't use a brand new skipping rope, don't play a match game with brand new boots. Don't freaking try something you haven't done before.
I've got a client at the moment, he's preparing for his first Spartan.
Okay.
Never done, and he hasn't gone the light one, he's gone full, he's gone in for the 20k, and I'm like, first of all, you never run 5k in your life. It's punchy, but I was like,
first, do it.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's amazing. And big biceps definitely get you through a Spartan race.
But is it like monkey bars?
Yeah, it's.
Is it a muddy one? No.
Yeah, I think so. It's in May, so it should be okay.
Okay. But
I said to him, so we're 5 weeks out now. And I was like, mate, this is where we've got to start trying these things. So I was like, have you ever, what's your plan for race day? He's like, yeah, well, I'm going to try some energy gels. And I was like, have you ever done them before? And he said, no. I said, right, you need to start this now. So then when you get to race day, you know what works for you. You know how your body feels. You know how your body's going to react to it. And then you get no nasty surprises.
Yeah.
And it's the same, when you go into your Hyrox race, is that I took that energy gel because I knew that's what worked well for me. And I think, going back to your point about the Red Bull, is I knew that Red Bull wouldn't work for me.
No. And I think it's great that they sponsor it.
Yeah.
But I don't really recommend most people drinking it.
Not intra.
It's carbonated. It's really acidic. You're going to feel like absolute balls.
Best case scenario is you can, if you've got some powder or like a tab, you can just drop in for some water and get some electrolytes and carbs back on board.
But even by the third or the fourth run, you shouldn't even be drinking, your water intake should be, if you're really pushing it, you drink too much water at that point, you're going to feel a bit sick. I heard someone say that you mostly just need to wet your mouth, keep your mouth wet. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you sit, you should only sip water.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because those people get to third station, slam 2 cups of water, and then they start running again.
And they're
feel sick.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm really excited for it. I've done zero preparation because I didn't buy a ticket. Yeah,
you'll be absolutely fine.
We got through it last time. The lady I'm doing it with, she's not big on running, but she did great on all the other things. She's very strong. I did a lot. I had to do all the sled pull.
Okay.
But I used a lot of legs to pull it.
Yeah, well, there's loads of different techniques, right?
I mean, for me, the sled pull wasn't that hard at all, but I was using all of my legs.
See, I was the other way. I did all arms. I planted myself, because again, I was like, what's my strengths here is probably arm endurance and grip strength. So I was like, I'll play to my strengths here, give my legs a rest.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that's new to the concept of Hyrox, first of all, give it a go. It's one of the best things you can do. And I think I started with the premise of I'm not a runner, whereas Jason is a runner. And I was like, I surprised myself with how well I held up. And so first of all, give it a go. But secondly, there's different techniques for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's again, it's like your nutrition strategy. Find out what works for you. It's the same for. Yeah, you're going to have your own strengths. You're going to have your own weaknesses. You're going to find out which way works for you, like the sled pull. And
then taking that back to clients as well. That's the same thing I say to people. I'm like, I often, and it's a bit of a joke, I often say to them, it's like, do you actually like the running machine? And they're like, no.
Why are we doing it?
So don't do it then.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
100%.
Have you been on the rower?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure about the rower.
Well, why aren't you sure? Let's find out. Let's unpack that.
You know what I mean? I get people, even when they're training for marathons and they're not experienced. Simple thing I say to them is they're like, well, the app says I need to go for a run, but my knees are killing, my ankles are hurting.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, do 2 hours on the watt bike. Yeah. Tell me how that feels.
Because the app doesn't know how your body feels.
Yeah.
Right?
And also 2 hours on the watt bike, if you stay at the same, or any bike, you're still moving that system through. You're still getting the blood going.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, most people can rough a marathon.
100%.
No? It'll hurt.
It'll hurt, yeah. And obviously you'd always say, well, if you're going to do something as demanding as that, probably get a coach. Work with someone that can help you. Let's actually employ someone to help you get through that. An app is great, and again, we go back to that point earlier about the accessibility of information now. It's like there's loads of apps out there with loads of programs, but if you're going to take something on of that size and that magnitude, particularly if it's like your first thing you ever do, get a coach. Like, go and find someone that's going to be, one, supportive, but two, like, has the experience and the know-how to get you to the desired effect you want. And then two, like, you've got to enjoy it.
What, running?
No, you're not running. It's just
training.
Your modality of exercise. So like, if you're, you sit there like, my knees are fucked. Well, okay, fine. Let's find you an alternative that's going to help you progress towards that. But equally, if you don't enjoy running, even if your knees feel great, if you don't enjoy it, why are you doing a marathon?
Right, well, so we talked about a fair bit of stuff. We obviously we'll definitely do one of these again.
Yeah.
I'll do it in the studio. Definitely in the studio. Might as well have just done it in a restaurant.
Yeah, we could have done.
So basically, obviously, coached by Chris.
Yeah, coached by Chris is my Instagram.
Yeah. You've got lots of exciting stuff coming out. Lots of fun things happening soon.
Yeah, so I am doing some Hyrox coaching for people if they are interested. I specialise in strength and conditioning, in person in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, but then also online. So it's exciting. Obviously, I've also got some other
fun
work
stuff, and then obviously we're just like finally like, if anyone just like, I think mostly is just try something new, get out there, try the fitness, try and get off the sofa. Try and drop the, and what did we first say? It was like, just start creating that habit.
Build habits. So I think sort of my two things I always stress to people is, you've got to enjoy it. So whatever form of exercise you do, like, we all have our own, for us, it's kind of a performance-driven sport. It's CrossFit, it's Hyrox, it's lifting, it's rugby. And that works for us, but it might not work for someone else. So for you, if you're starting out on your fitness journey, find the modality of exercise, or find the vehicle of exercise that is going to keep you coming back for more, and you're going to enjoy it. Because then once you enjoy it, you prioritize it. And when it becomes a priority, it becomes a habit. And then over time, the habit grows into a lifestyle.
Nice.
And so find something that you enjoy, and then build behaviors around it. Because I think a lot of people go straight in for that performance-driven goal. I want to lift,
120 kilos.
Yeah, I want to go and do that half marathon. I want to go and get this time in whatever competition it is. But actually, for the first 12 weeks, let's just build that habit. Let's just make it a priority in your life. So when you get faced with these barriers and these challenges that come up because you're a busy dad, busy lad, busy mum, busy parent, partner, the barrier doesn't become so big and so overwhelming that you just push it off to the side because it falls by the wayside. Build habits that then it becomes ingrained in your lifestyle, so when the stresses and strains of life come on, you still get it done because you understand how to cope with that and how to deal with that. And you understand also that
it becomes a place to go to as well.
Correct.
It doesn't just become a place to chore, it becomes a place that you can lean back onto. So as much as it's hard to dig into at the begining into fitness, it then becomes a place of sanctitude, a place of relief, a place of giving you some alternatives to drinking, doom scrolling, and it gives you a space where you finally 20-minute workout before a really hectic meeting, before a difficult presentation, before a difficult exam, and you'd be surprised how much your brain waves just change.
And this is the other thing, is if you can't do the full session, something is still better than nothing. So it's like, cool, well, you could have easily gone to the sofa, but you still made the choice to go and take that 20-minute workout. That's a win. That's a really good win. Even just
walking through the gym, sometimes you forget your trainers.
Go for a swim.
It sucks.
Go for a swim.
All right, cool. Well, lovely to talk to you.
Thanks very much, mate. I enjoyed that. Very good.
All right, you guys at home, keep watching, keep obviously follow and subscribe, share it if you think it's good, save it, and we're going to make some cool clips out of this for you if you can't watch the whole thing. We're on Spotify, and if you want to find out more or anything, just drop me a line and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks very much. Bye.